kritani yat nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk
Harangana Harabuk
kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritanyat nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritanyat nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritanyat
Nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudveshti kaling samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudvesti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudveshti kaling samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga eva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanudveshti kalim samrat saranga iva sarabhuk kushalanyashu siddhanti netarani kritaniyat
Nanu Devesti Kalim Samrat Saranga Iva Sarabuk Kusalani Ashi Siddhi Anti Netrani Prataniyat
Anudvesti Kalim Samrat Saranga Iva Sarabuk Kushalanya Shusidyanti Netarani Kritaniyat
Na, never. Anudveshti, envious. Kalim, unto the personality of Kali. Samrat, the emperor. Saramga, realist, like the beast. Iva, like. Sarabhuk, one who accepts the substance. Kushalani, auspicious object. Ashu, immediately. Siddhyanti, become successful. Na, never. Itarani, which are inauspicious. Kritani, being performed. Yat, as much as. Translation and purport of His Divine Grace is Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Maharaj Parikshit was a realist, like the bees who constantly accept the essence of a flower. He knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effect immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali. The age of Kali is called the fallen age. In this fallen age, because the living beings are in an awkward position, the Supreme Lord has given some special facilities to them. So by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. In other ages, simply by thinking of performing a sinful act, one used to become a victim of the act. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the result of pious acts simply by thinking of them. Maharaj Parikshit, being the most learned and experienced king by the grace of the Lord, was not unnecessarily envious of the personality of Kali, because he did not intend to give him any chance to perform any sinful act. He protected his subjects from falling prey to the sinful acts of the age of Kali, and at the same time, he gave full facility to the age of Kali by allotting him some particular places. At the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that even though all nefarious activities of the personality of Kali are present, there is a great advantage in this age of Kali. One can attain salvation simply by the chanting the holy name of the Lord. Thus Maharaj Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the Lord's holy name, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. It is for this advantage only that great sages sometimes wish all good for the age of Kali. In the Vedas, also it is said that by discourse on Lord Krishna's activities, one can get rid of all disadvantages of the age of Kali. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme becomes at once arrested within one's heart. These are some of the great advantages of the age of Kali, and Maharaj Parikshit took all the advantages and did not think any ill of the age of Kali due to his Vaishnavite cult. Nanudveshti kanim samrat saranga ivasarabhu aushalanyashu siddhyanti nitarani kritaniya. Maharaj Parikshit was a realist, like the bees who only accept the essence of flower. He knew perfectly well that in this age of Kali, auspicious things produce good effects immediately, whereas inauspicious acts must be actually performed to render effects. So he was never envious of the personality of Kali. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakti. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you. There's an example of this given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll briefly describe it. The wife of Jamadagni, her name was Renuka, and he was a Brahmin. And she went down to the river one day, as usual, to get water. But while she was there, it so happened that there were a group of demigods there, or Gandharvas, and one of the Gandharvas was the leader of the Gandharvas. He was very handsome, beautiful singer, extraordinary for to be on earth. It's rare to see. So she became attracted to him, and she lost track of the time. So when she finally returned home, the husband said, "What have you done? You've committed a great offense by lusting after that person." And he told the sons, and he ordered her to be killed because of that offense. So, it's a long story, but it turns out that several of the sons refused to do it, and finally his youngest son, the incarnation Lord Parshuram, he was ordered to do it, lest he be killed. So actually, the Brahmin was so powerful that he killed the sons who wouldn't do it. So Parshuram did what his father suggested. His idea was, it's not a good instruction, of course, but his idea was, if I don't do it, he'll kill me also. And if I do it, he'll be pleased with me and he'll give me a benediction. And then I'll ask for their lives to be brought back and everything will be okay. That's what happened. He did it. And then, he had to kill all the sons. That was and the mother. So he did it. Then the father was pleased and said, "So I want to give you a benediction." He said, "Please bring them all back to life immediately and let them not remember what happened." So he did that and everything went on. But that gives an example of how in previous ages one was considered guilty by thinking a sinful thought. In Kali Yuga, one may think of sinful thoughts, but he's not held responsible. He's not given the reactions unless he actually performs it. So that can sometimes be, one may think, well, I can think so many things. No problem. But thinking about them, as we know from Bhagavad Gita, can bring about contemplation, and one becomes absorbed in and attached to the idea of doing that thing. So it's not recommended to think about doing anything evil even. Better to get it out of them. Stop it even before the thinking position, but at least having thought it, one should be ashamed and pray to the Lord to please help me give this up so I don't think about such things. Because I would hate to do something sinful.
Yes, Jai, thank you very much. Wonderful story about this Parashuram and nice example. Actually, this is like Srila Prabhupada was mentioning. Therefore, the sages glorifying this age, and we can see that I will not sit here now if if I shall get the reaction of my sinful thoughts. So this is therefore this age is good for practicing like devotional service. And on the other side, we don't get this reaction for the sinful things, but like it's written here, if we think something positively, even if it doesn't do it actually, we get the results. It's so wonderful. But of course, we shall also try to act in such a way, not just only thinking, okay. But this is the actual position of this age and the mercy of the Lord, like it was here described. That so by the will of the Lord, a living being does not become a victim of a sinful act until the act is actually performed. On the contrary, a living being in this age is awarded with the result of a pious act simply by thinking of them. We know when Krishna was born, like Vasudeva, he was giving millions of cows in charity, but he was in jail. How it was possible for him? He was thinking of it, and only by this thinking, he actually was giving them, and he got the result of giving in charity so many cows.
And later he also gave the cows, actually.
So this is, therefore it is recommended that we shall think positively on Krishna. It is not recommended, it's not our process to think on Krishna like negatively, like Kamsa was always thinking of Krishna, I shall kill him, okay, or he killed me. So of course it happens, Krishna killed him because he was always thinking on him in this way. But rather we shall think of Krishna positively, and also on his devotees and his service. Even it sometimes it doesn't we doesn't like it, to some devotee or maybe some service we don't like, but we shall actually think on this on them positively, because it is always connected with Krishna. We shall try to see it in like that. And yes, and I think what was described here by Srila Prabhupada was that Maharaj Parikshit, he was actually very learned and experienced king, and he was unnecessary envious of the personality of Kali, because he did not intend to give him any chance to perform any sinful act. And how it was possible that he was not giving him any chance to do sinful acts? Even he gave him the places. Maybe you check it. catch from the purport, Srila Prabhupada give us the instruction how we shall not be like influenced by the age of Kali. Somebody remember from the purport? I can read it. Maharaj Parikshit made an organized effort to propagate the chanting of the holy names, and thus he saved the citizens from the clutches of Kali. So there is, I think it's very important that it was written, Prabhupada was mentioning that he has organized. It was not just like, okay, now we will chant, and when just we want to chant, sometimes we have this mentality, when we like to do things, so we do things. And if we don't like things to do, so we don't do them, like chanting, for example. But actually, Maharaj Parikshit was making organized effort, like Srila Prabhupada. He was making organized effort for achieving the goal. Therefore, we should also, in our life, try to organize like efforts, or what we want to achieve, what we want to do. We should organize our activities in such a way that we achieve the goal, actually. And if we want to go back to Godhead, if this is our goal, so then we shall organize our life in such a way that we will be able to go back to Godhead. Not that we just, okay, I will think somehow or other. It will happen. No, it doesn't work like that. Like this month is especially about all this pastime that Madhuri Yashoda was giving her effort to bound Lord Krishna. Not just that she just was thinking, okay, I will do it somehow or other. No, she's doing big effort for this, and but of course she was not dependent only on the effort. She was dependent on the mercy of Lord. In the same way, we should try our best in the way going home back to Godhead, but we should depend on the mercy of the Lord.
Nice point. On the point of organization, Srila Prabhupada wanted a worldwide organization for spreading Krishna consciousness. And because he took the words of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu literally, that my name will be chanted in every town and village in the world, on the face of the globe. And for that, it takes worldwide organization. So his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and before him, especially Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and others, tried to organize preaching programs on a broad scale. They had big vision. Bhaktisiddhanta sent some of his disciples to England to try to begin Krishna consciousness, to spread it amongst the British. He sent devotees outside of India to Germany and other places. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur had sent his book about Lord Chaitanya, his life and precepts, to McGill University in Canada. So they had this international view, and there's that famous poem by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, "Oh, for the day when the fortunate English and Russian and American, and even named several countries, shall join with their Bengali brothers and chant Jai Satchidanand, Jai Satchidanand in Mayapur." So they wanted that. And Prabhupada made a very important aspect of his preaching is to set up the organization of ISKCON. For example, he didn't just leave it that when he would disappear, when he would pass away, that maybe somebody would come forward and be an acharya and be recognized by all and be the one single, like Prabhupada, when he was present, he was the single authority above everyone else combined, above all combined or individually. He didn't leave it like that. And he pointed out that his own spiritual master also set up a governing body commission. That was his idea, that in Kali Yuga, it's better not to just have one person making so many decisions. Better to combinedly consult and try to work it out together. So in that sense, he wasn't against democracy. He saw the value of democracy. So he set up the GBC, Governing Body Commission. In the beginning, he selected, I think it was 11 persons, to be in charge of the movement in particular geographical areas. And that number grew as time went on. And Prabhupada, before he left, he said this governing body commission will be the highest authority after my departure, and it will be their responsibility to organize things worldwide. And he said to everyone that your love for me will be shown by how well you cooperate together after I depart. And that has been a challenge, but the devotees know that we have to cooperate. Otherwise, Prabhupada won't be pleased, and we won't be showing our love for him if we don't cooperate. Cooperation for people in Kali Yuga, especially Westerners, is not easy. It's very difficult to cooperate. We see marriages are practically given up. They can't do it. So they don't even bother getting married anymore. There's so much failure in cooperating, even in the marriage. And children don't cooperate with the parents don't cooperate with the children. It's a devastation. And wars, now we have Russia and Ukraine having a war. And it just goes to every sphere, every aspect of life. So it's very difficult. In fact, it may be the most difficult thing to cooperate. But we have to do it. Because if we don't do it, then we fail our mission. And that cooperation may mean that I may not get everything that I want the way I want it. But still I stay in the movement. I may think that my opinion is not being taken seriously. I'm saying that this is being done incorrectly and it has to be stopped, and if it's not stopped, then I leave the movement. This is not cooperation. Giriraj tells a story. He spoke with Prabhupada. As I recall, I can't remember the exact time it was, but as far as I recall, it was near Prabhupada's departure time. And he called for, somehow or other, he was speaking with Giriraj, his disciple. And Giriraj brought up the point that Prabhupada, in your presence, everything is nice. We can all solve the problem. The movement gets proper guidance, leadership. We can ask questions. You resolve everything. But when you depart, what will we do then when we have problems? When we can't get along? And Prabhupada said, you're also one of the senior members. So you try your best to bring about what you think is right to the best. So in this way, he said you should stay, he made it clear, you must stay in the movement and try your best to correct any difficulties you feel need to be corrected. You don't just leave and then criticize. So that was, I think, a very important point. And it makes it very easy to understand. Obviously, Prabhupada wants the sincere devotees to stay and cooperate together. Why? Because if you have a worldwide preaching mission with branches all over the world and huge assets and resources, you become a player, as they say, a very important player in the world's activities. What happens? You have power, you have wealth, you have following, and you have influence. That is wanted. Prabhupada worked very hard to get it, and it has come to him while he was present, but now it's much more. The movement has grown. When Prabhupada left, there were 108 temples. Now there's many more than that. And there's so many devotees. Every year, hundreds and thousands of devotees, people are joining, taking initiation, becoming devotees in their own villages. It's very hard to go anywhere now and not find some devotee. Here in America, in Kansas City, we find so many. Prabhupada disciples are here. Even in Wichita, there's a big professor, the head of the department. He got initiated with me in Los Angeles, same day. So we know each other from that time. And he's preaching. And the university, one of his students came here, and I spoke to him, and he was telling me, he said, I've accepted him not only as my teaching mentor, but my spiritual mentor. So this is wonderful. How the preaching is going on all over the world. Every town and village is going on, and it'll go on increasing. Provided we remain together, but when we break up, then the example Prabhupada always gave to us, if you take a big big bundle of sticks, and you tie them up, try to break it. You can't break it. But if you untie it and take one stick at a time, click, 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 you can break them. So as far as we remain united, we can't be stopped. This movement can't be stopped. Prabhupada always used to say, this movement will be, if it's to be destroyed, it'll be destroyed from within, not from without. So we have to take that seriously. And that means I may not get my way all the time. I may have to accept that the opinion of others, their opinion also matters. And even though it seems outrageous to me, I can write books volumes of books on why this or that is outrageous and why others should do it this way. And still, there may be a strong opinion by others different. So it's hard to tolerate, but we have to go on trying with our own efforts, whatever efforts or whatever influence we have, we can use that to try to promote our view, if we think our view is. And that's what Prabhupada said to do. One example comes to mind. There was a group of devotees led by another kind of leader. They had formed a kind of a group within ISKCON. And they all kind of followed this one person. They used to follow him also before he joined ISKCON, so it wasn't such an unusual thing for them to still be. So anyway, they complained. They didn't like the way the other temples and devotees were distributing books. They felt it was too aggressive, gave the image, a bad image to the public. And they had so many concerns. So these came to Prabhupada. They said them. And Prabhupada said, okay, you don't like the way they do it, that's fine. You do it a different way, but do it. Book distribution is important. We need to distribute the literature. So if you have another way to do it, and if it can be done better, then others will follow you. That was his way of dealing with that. But he didn't like them to just criticize or leave, because that wasn't going to help the overall mission of getting the transcendental knowledge out. But if they could have come up, he said, if you come up with a better way of doing it, not so aggressive, and has a better effect, and this and that, then that will be very good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's full comment. I was just thinking here on the finishing this purport, Srila Prabhupada said that actually Maharaj Parikshit was able to, doesn't be like envious on Kali because of his Vaishnava cult. So he was the point that how this Vaishnava culture, this Vaishnava cult is so sublime, so great that the person which actually exhibit in his life can go behind this false ego and can see things in the true understanding. Like Maharaj was mentioning, this cooperation, it's like very difficult, but I just remember one example which one teacher on Bhakti Yoga was giving, that there was some Maharaj, I don't know his name, and some devotees have some quarrel between themselves, two devotees, and they were not speaking, not at all. And so the Maharaj was speaking with one of them, and he was explaining him why this situation like actually happens and like this, and he was right. He was like he has the right, and he decided doesn't speak with him. And Maharaj was, yes, it's like that. And but then Maharaj told him, okay, now you go to this devotee and fall to his feet and ask for forgiveness. And he was like shocked. Why? I was okay. It's true. You understand it? Yeah, yes. But you do this, and and he said in that you go. This is the Vaishnava culture that we, for the sake of cooperation and communication between each Vaishnava, we can go beyond this false ego platform, and actually in this way he did it, and then the relationship was better then. This devotee said, "Oh, actually, I'm making the fault." So it was solved with such simple things. So this is the Vaishnava culture. Actually, this is what Srila Prabhupada bring us, and what our spiritual master teaches, the way how to cooperate. So maybe you have some questions or some comment. Yeah, over time. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada.